Great. I will call this meeting to order. Welcome to the April 10th, 2023 meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit Board of Directors. This is a hybrid meeting, meaning members of the public can participate in the meeting either in person or virtually. This meeting is being live streamed, and the slide on the screen shows the information on how to join the webinar via Zoom. You can also call into the meeting at 253-215-8782, and the webinar access code is 837-938-8162. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Director Budge. Here. Director Daniels.
Here.
Director Hume. Director Jennings. Director Kozlowski.
Here.
Director Laloe. Director Maple.
Here.
Director Cerna.
Here.
Director Singh Allen.
Here.
Director Valenzuela.
Here.
And Chair Kennedy.
Here.
With that, we have a quorum at 8 votes. And this meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit District will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T Uverse cable systems. This meeting is closed caption and webcast at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Wednesday, April 12th at 2 p.m. and Saturday, April 15th at 1 p.m. on Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker card located at the rear of the room and provide it to myself or Adam. If you are participating by phone, please push *9 to indicate a desire to comment. If you are joining us through Zoom, please push the raise hand button. Be sure to unmute yourself when it is your turn to speak and voluntarily state your name for the record.
Thank you very much. Would everybody please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. That takes us to our first items of the evening, which is the consent calendar, items 2.1 through 2.8. Are there any members of the board that has any questions on consent?
Mr. Chair, if there are no questions by board members and no members of the public to speak on consent matters, I'd move it to consent calendar.
Second.
Thank you. And who was the second?
Me, Bobby.
Okay. Is there any member of the public that would like to address consent? No? Then,
I don't see any hands up.
okay. Then I'm going to do something I haven't done for years. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Thank you.
Motion passes with 8 votes.
Now it takes us to 4.1, unfinished business. And I believe Mr. Flores.
Good evening, board members. I'm Chris Flores, Chief of Staff. It's great to be here again in front of you guys and see you all in person. At the last board meeting, we presented the ad hoc committee recommendation to pursue an additional board seat for the city of Elk Grove and Sacramento County to address equity and representation concerns. We are fortunate that Assemblymember Nguyen has been very supportive of SAC-RT and is willing to champion legislative changes at our request. However, she would prefer a unanimous vote for 2 reasons. If the board does not unanimously approve, then more than likely the legislation will receive opposition letter from a member jurisdiction, which would not reflect well on SAC-RT and would likely cause concerns during a committee hearing. And second, her request is not uncommon. As you may recall, Assemblymember Cooley held the same position that the board's support be unanimous, and he was a senior member when he carried those legislative changes forward. The Assembly member feels strongly that this board is a board decision, and she wants to be supportive of both SAC-RT and the board. She would like to have the vote separated, the two vote, excuse me, she would like to have the board recommendation votes separated into 2 distinct votes, and should a consensus not be reached tonight on one or both, she has indicated her willingness to carry legislation next year. Should that be the will of the board? With that, I'll turn it back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions of Mr. Flores at this time? Yes, Mr. Hume.
Not a question, but I'd be willing to entertain a motion or to put forward a motion.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. We will bifurcate this, as we talked about last time. So at this time, we'll take a motion on the question of adding a seat to Elk Grove. And following that, we will consider whether or not to increase the number of seats for Sacramento County. Is there a motion?
I'd
I
like
would
to
make-
second.
Okay.
Okay. Did you make the motion? Or
I thought I heard a motion.
Yeah, I'll move the motion and
for Elk,
the mayor seconded it.
for Elk Grove?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. Is there any member of the public that would like to address this at this time? No. With that, I'd like to do a roll call vote.
Director Budge? Yes. Director Daniels?
Yes.
Director Hume?
Aye?
Director Jennings is absent. Director Kozlowski?
Yes.
Director Loloe is absent. Director Maple?
Aye.
Director Cerna?
Aye.
Director Singh Allen?
Aye.
Director Valenzuela?
Yes.
And Chair Kennedy.
Aye.
Motion passes with 9 votes.
Okay, that brings us to question number 2, and that would be the additional member of the Board of Directors representing Sacramento County. Are there any questions this time? Now, the issue has been, as Mr. Flores has said, that the Assembly member would prefer that this be a unanimous vote. I will speak for myself, and and she did tell me that today as well. But I still think it's important that we hold a vote, whether or not it's going to be unanimous or not. We don't know if it is, but assuming that the conversation goes like it did last time, we can probably have a pretty good guess. But I do think it's important to be on the record of having a clear vote, whether unanimous or not. Anybody have any issues with that? Yes, sir.
I'll just go to comments if you're ready for that.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm new here, and my last meeting was my first meeting in person, and it just really kind of smacked me upside the head that this issue of the county getting a 4th vote was even a question. It really bothered me over the last few weeks, and I don't know the history, so it bothered me that the county didn't already have a 4th vote. It just didn't make sense to me that the representatives of the largest group of people on the board would have a vote, a lesser amount of votes than anybody else. And, so factoring in the numbers, roughly you're talking about Sac City having about a vote for 125,000 people or so, Sac County having a vote for about 200,000 people or so. And so a 4th vote just kind of reaches parity almost with a proper representation. And so I was very hopeful that our good friends from the city were going to take the time and kind of reflect on that too, that as a matter of fairness, representation is very important. And the only way to get closer to that representation is to have those votes kind of sync with the amount of people that they're representing. And so I'm hopeful that there's been some rethought. I'm hopeful that there's been some thought on that the city already gets the biggest piece of the pie, which, again, if you're talking about representing people, I'm kind of surprised in that sense that resources haven't been pushed out further than in the county and the other areas. And I'll use my words delicately that, how this vote turns out may end up influencing that in the future too. Because if the rest of us are going to in some way be punished in a sense and not have as much of a voice in the vote, then the majority of us can certainly come together for votes in the future and how funds are spent at RT. So I'm just hopeful that there's been some rethought.
Thank you, Director. Well
Chair?
said. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Just I guess a process question. So the Assembly member has supportive, obviously, of what we've already done halfway, at least tonight, which is bifurcate the vote for Elk Grove. So from a practical standpoint, how does the legislation either move forward or not this year or next, based on that you may have 2 different types of confirmation for each vote? In other words, if there's not unanimous vote on the next item, does she wait until next year for the balance of the jurisdictions and move forward with just Elk Grove this year? I don't understand how that can work.
Yeah, so she has language drafted for both adding Elk Grove and the county seat. And so we could insert those should there be a consensus for both tonight. But should there be a consensus for Elk Grove, we intend to move forward with
Consensus or unanimity?
that. Unanimous.
All right. Okay.
She did indicate to me in a conversation earlier today that should the Elk Grove one go forward, she would still be interested in bringing back the Sacramento County question in the future. Any other questions, comments? Yes.
Just a question, when you asked for public comment, was that for both items or was that only for the Elk Grove motion?
Just for the Elk Grove motion.
Then I would make a motion for the Sacramento County seat as well.
Okay, thank you. We have a
Second.
motion by Director Hume, second by Director Daniels. Is there any member of the public that would like to weigh in on this?
Jeffrey Tartagia.
Okay. Jeffrey online?
Yes.
Yes, I am in a Zoom setup. And this is a conundrum and an issue. And this also affects, as we're talking about further, on the, should we say, next step in trying to produce more public funding issue. Representation and the fact that you people have some 30 boards or at least 20 boards. And I am finding myself on reaching that threshold that I have a hard time making sure I know which one is what and what is straight in there. Please do more work on this paper and get more than just the recommendation. A series of what if scenarios, I think, would be very helpful in the future to let the public understand better of why we, over the last 5 years, have made the various changes on the voting structure at Regional Transit. You are a quasi, shall we say, public-private entity. And again, sometimes the reasons and many times the factor of what you don't turn around and tell the public is really doing a disservice to the public. I've appreciated the last two meetings where you've had more conversation and disclosure about some of what's going on. And I also realize that you have 4, 6 brand new members. So I'm hoping that they are getting an understanding and they're getting better at raising the questions that need to be posed to staff and needs to be posed of what the Regional Transit Board should be functioning at, its mission and its priority, and see if meeting those criteria, meeting your constituents, are you indeed doing the best job of demonstrating for Sacramento County, as well as for sometimes the region, what public transportation needs to do. I will grant you that in participating in nationwide organizations that there is certainly some things that RT has been very inventive and very creative about doing. But it requires more leadership than just turning it over to the general manager. And I really emphasize again what I have said before, is when you decide to cancel a meeting, that you should consider making it a, shall we say, workshop to gain understanding, just as the last meeting gave you a better understanding about bus cancellations and how that affect ridership. And that is my comment on this item. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Director Cerna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know we have a motion, a second, to take action on, and I'm hopeful that we can be unanimous on the motion. I just feel somewhat obligated, though, to say one more time that I think the way this has been teed up stinks, to put it lightly, and especially if one of the reasons that the Assembly member has given as to why she would be reluctant or outright confirm that she's not going to move forward with legislation for Sacramento County this year without unanimity. I just want to point out the obvious, but it gives one member of this board the ability to hold hostage that legislative movement. And I just think that that is a bit of a travesty here because we set up a committee structure to vet this. We have a committee recommendation. And then at the end of that whole process, for one individual, or maybe less than a majority of individuals, if there's more than one, can hold that up, I just think is, quite frankly, it's kind of undemocratic. So just want to make sure I put that on the record.
I share your sentiments. Is there anyone else?
So do I. Ditto.
Okay, then I believe that's all the discussion, so let's do a roll call vote.
Director Budge.
Yes, in favor of the motion.
Director Daniels.
Aye.
Director Hume.
Aye.
Director Jennings is absent. Director Kozlowski.
Aye.
Director Loloe is absent. Director Maple.
No.
Director Cerna.
Aye.
Director Singh Allen.
Aye.
Director Valenzuela.
No.
And Chair Kennedy.
Aye.
The motion has 7 votes.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, I note that the voting matrix is in error. You have directors that are associated with jurisdictions they don't represent. Just want to point that out.
Okay,
Noted.
Thank you.
thank you. All right. Item number 6, public addressing the board for items not on the agenda. We have 3 cards. Robert Copeland. We have 4 cards.
Well, I've got a few things to say tonight. One, I was at the Globe Avenue stop over a little week ago. All I said was going to CRC, not towards Watton I-80. And this was about 9 o'clock in the evening. 2, there's a bus stop that's inactive on between 30th and Alhambra on Capitol. Why is it there still? 3, Henry Lincoln come up with the best plan in the world, and you still won't fix RT. Reason why? People are not going to ride the bus if they don't have any disposable income to ride the bus, go to the movies, go shopping, go to the restaurants, go to an event at the Golden One Center. So we've got to fix all that, and you don't have it in your power to do that. 4, let's say buses should run later and more frequently and more bus routes. I was at an ACE meeting last week, and a lot of people said their number 1 priority was public safety on the light rail trains and the light rail stations. I'm finished. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Kristen Lopez.
Hi, my name's Kristen. I am a public transit union organizer for ACE Action here in Sacramento. It's in its infancy. We're building our membership right now, but from what I can tell, just from talking to people that's out there, that yeah, safety is an issue. Also, the price, the $100 a month for the monthly pass is not sustainable for most people. $7 a day, it's leaving people stranded. Also, the fact that all these bus lines have been cut, they're not running late enough. Our goal here is to make public transit strong in Sacramento, right? Is that your guys' goal too? I'm still figuring you out. But that's our goal. So in order to get these things accomplished, we have to make it affordable. We have to make it desirable to ride. But yeah, that's what I'd like to say for now, but I will be bringing more members to you in a later date. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Helen O'Connell.
Hello, Board. My
Hello,
name
Helen.
is Helen O'Connell, and I'm glad to be here in person.
Glad to have you.
I've been talking to bus drivers on RT-GO and Smart Ride and large buses, and they all seem to have a different level of income, and they also have a different level of benefits. To me, as a lame person, that seems kind of not very equal for an employee of the same company. I feel that if you're a bus operator, you should get the same amount whether you're driving a big bus, a little bus, or RT-GO bus. I think the benefits should be universal also. It kind of, they're having a hard time getting bus drivers for certain areas of service. And I think if everything was on a level field, that you'd be able to retain people in those areas that are now lacking. And bus drivers for RT-GO have a tendency to switch to the larger bus because they get more pay, they get better benefits. Yeah, I think that's about all I needed to say. Thank you very much, Board. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Helen. Good to see you. I believe this is Case Fritz.
Good evening, all. Yeah, I'm Case. I live in District 4. I really enjoy the light rail we have in this city. I use it multiple times a week on the Gold Line to get from downtown to Rancho and back. It's a relaxing way to get to work. I think it has a lot of good things going for it. Rail should be this city's favorite method to get off the congested and dangerous freeways we have here. If you cared about public safety, the rail has a lot of things going for it. Every rider is another one not using a polluting car. Another vehicle not causing more smog and pollution, helps meet our climate initiatives. Another striking fact, buses and trains have 18 times fewer deaths per 100 million miles driven, from 0.56 to 0.03, according to NSC injury facts. So that's the safe method to get around the city. Some of the things I don't like about it is it's, for me, I like the 2.5 each way plan, but it's a marginal saving versus a car. That's about like 18 miles of gas, or 20 at about a gallon. And that are, and they're not always there for me. They should be 24 hours. Buses and trains I should be able to walk out my door, no matter the time of day, and be able to get where I want to go without having to hit up a friend, rent a taxi at the very worst. That'd be terribly inhibitive. But I'm doing rather well. I can get by. When the transit officers come by, they rarely bother me. I show them my phone, but I do see them. I see them harassing the worst off in the city. When there's a disadvantaged person on the train trying to get across this sprawling city, then you can count on the officers to be there to knock them down a peg. Harassing people who can't afford, the people who obviously can't afford the fare. How else are they supposed to get around? People have places to be. Levying fines on people who can't pay. What sort of society is that? And so I think, I've been hearing a lot of it earlier here today. We need more trains, more buses, more frequently, and we need to get rid of these fares. Like, I was able to read the budget coming into this. It said about $13 million generated from fares per year. It's 5.7% of the budget. 5.7% of the budget to have another line of people to harass people just trying to live their day. There's obviously other ways to find money. That's all. Thanks all.
Thank you, Case. All right, that's the last card I have. Is there any other member of the public that would like to address the board at this time?
Jeffrey Tartagia has his hand up.
Jeffrey.
Once again, board, I will offer to you is for your brand new membership. You had a discussion last time, board meeting, related to bus cancellations. I believe you have, Chris, you have, I believe, a letter, and I hope, Patrick, you have one, that's suggesting what more needs to and could be and should be done. Since the 1st of April, I've seen up to 57, buses being canceled through here on a daily basis. Now, no, like today, it's only a few, but I've also seen where it starts in the morning where there's 6, and by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 46. So I do believe it took MAC almost 6 months when they were wanting to verify and validate the credibility of performance, as well as determining a consistency of what was creating cancellations or other issues for delays in the ridership for paratransit Go To and for the other, shall we say, services, the new VIA service, and finding out what worked and what didn't work, and the positive performance levels, and also what information was there that assisted making these things consistent. I also turn around, I'm not going to tell you what goes on with the MAC meetings, but it would seem to me that it would be interesting if there was a better way of reading somewhere posted what goes on at the MAC meetings. I hope that the project that's been proposed some years ago will go forward. I hope that there is more consistency involvement with the 51 project down there. And Katie, there's a couple other problems in your district that really needs to be resolved and addressed, whether it's with the city planning department or what else needs to happen through there. Again, board, please, as I say, do better. Also figure out how you get better input from your operators and from your riders. Hopefully some of your board members will get out there and make an effort more than once a month to ride public transit. I enjoyed a meeting where Kevin McCarthy turned around and rode home using light rail. Wasn't something he usually does, but it reminded him, as a good reminder of why it's important to keep things going forward. And thank you. And I have, my time is up.
Thank you, Jeffrey. All right, if there's any others?
Barbara Stanton.
Barbara.
Hello, everybody. How are you tonight?
Great.
Good to see you. Sorry I couldn't make it in person. Maybe next time. We just wanted to concur with the first part of what Jeffrey said about trip cancellations. It certainly isn't like it was last year. One day there was like 111 trip cancellations. That probably was like not single trips, but round trips on various bus lines, bus routes. It has gotten better, but some days it's not, like Jeffrey said. Some days there's like 67 trips that are canceled, and we would just like to see it more consistent. And we hope that in the future, with maybe more bus drivers driving, it will be like that. We have found that some people were able to go to where they had to go, but they were not able to come back because of the cancellations. And so they just stayed home. So again, I hope in the future that there will be less cancellations, and so we can make RT a vibrant transit system again. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
There's no more hands up.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Then that takes us to item 8.1, General Manager's Report.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, and the public. Thank you for joining us this evening. Before I get into my update, I would like to thank our speakers for your great ideas, lower fare or no fare at all, and more service. And this has been our goal, for a while. Last year, there was a transportation sales tax measure, the bill. We had some specific ideas in SACRT's share. One is to try to make our public transit free for all, not just for students. Right now, our students ride free, 265,000 students ride free. We're the only transit agency in this country did that 4 years ago. And right now, only 2 transit agencies, small transit agencies across the country, they are making everybody free as a pilot. So in that sales tax measure, one idea is fare free for everybody. Second, increase our existing service by 30%. And then build some additional BRTs, bus rapid transit. The reason we did that, we need some more local financial resources, funding, is because compared to major California transit systems, we are underfunded by 6 times. So other major transit agencies in Bay Area, in San Diego, in LA, averagely they get a 1 cent sales tax for public transit. We get 1/6 of 1 penny. So I just wanted to put this facts on the table, and we'd love to work with you guys to see how we can achieve the goals you just talked about. So that being said, as we get into the middle of April, I want to share that we have some wonderful birthday celebrations. Today is Mayor Linda Budge's birthday. Happy birthday, Mayor. On Saturday, Director Kozlowski will celebrate his birthday. And the following week, on the 17th, is Director Jennings' birthday. I heard he already celebrated his birthday in last 3 nights. He's supposed to be here today, but some guests still not leave yet, so he stayed. And the 24th is Director Sarah's birthday. Happy birthday to all. Thank you. And speaking of birthdays, let me begin my remarks by sharing some photos from SACRT's 50th anniversary kickoff event last week. April 1st, 2023 marked SACRT's 50th anniversary of operation, and we are celebrating this important milestone by looking back at our iconic history and celebrating what is still to come in the next 50 or more years. I want to thank so many community leaders and dignitaries for attending the kickoff event, including our former board directors, Don Attorney and Jason Lear, and current chair candidate, Director Maple, and board outlet, YK Charamachera. I hope my pronunciation is good enough. YK, everybody knows him. SACAT has played an integral role in generations of Sacramentans and has been woven into the fabric of daily life across the Sacramento region for 5 decades. So as part of the event, we rolled out a special 50th anniversary edition bus and light rail train. Their vehicles feature decals dotted with QR codes that connect riders to stories and videos about our histories and achievements. And we celebrate the rest of this month. We are offering free ride transit Tuesdays on fixed routes, bus, and light rail every Tuesday. By the way, I think we probably provide most free ride stays across the country. Lots of free, ride stays. We also plan to continue celebrate our anniversary throughout the year with community events and showcase highlights of our light rail modernization project, including our new low-floor light rail trains. And talking about the light rail modernization project, funding the project is a big undertaking. So far, we have secured close to or over $400 million investment on our light rail modernization. It's the federal, and the money comes from state and federal. And as the federal government begins its fiscal year 2024 appropriations process, SACAT is thankful for the strong support of our federal delegation. Congress is continuing the community project funding process, which allows members of Congress to recommend targeted fund to projects in the congressional district. We are thankful to have heard from Congressman Barra that he will be submitting $4 million request to support SACAT's light rail modernization program, specifically on station renovation to accommodate the new cars. And he was successfully secured $4.3 million community funding last year, or last cycle. And today we have heard from Congresswoman Matsui's office, and Congresswoman will be championing a $5.5 million request to help complete the construction of the Dos Rios light rail station in the River District. And but Dos Rios project, been viewed as one of the most underserved community. Is totally reinvigorating the whole community, which is an iconic project for this region. Today, we actually received our last Friday, received our fourth new low-floor light rail vehicle. So we have 4 now. And we're hopeful to hear from the rest of our federal delegations in the coming days, senators. Speaking of the delegations, last week, I was delighted to join the Sacramento Air Quality District along with Chair Kennedy. By the way, Chair is also the chair of Air Quality District Board. Then Carmen Alba, Jamie Adam, Albert Kennedy, and Anthony Adam on a trip to Southern California to learn about how we can further progress our region's zero emission goals. We were able to see fuel cell energy Tri-Gene H2 facility at the port of Long Beach, as well as Karma Automotive manufacture facility. By the way, this whole region, capital region, we still don't have a single hydrogen station here. We transport hydrogen from Bay Area to this region. It's kind of like a little bit, sad. We need to have a station. So that's why chair, is chair for both major, public agencies. We had a trip to Long Beach to say the hydrogen station, to say how we can, we get some plan to have a station to be built here. And also, I want to thank the Air Quality District for providing a financial match for SACRT's federal low emission grant, which will be submitting tomorrow, the final deadline. I think we already submitted today.
I think so.
Yeah, okay. One more thing. One of the key goals of the field trip was to prioritize investment that will help cut greenhouse gas emission and tackle the climate crisis. In advance, SACRT is doing our part by offering system-wide free rides in celebration of Earth Day on Saturday, April 22nd. So at least this week, we're going to have 5 free ride days, 4 Tuesdays, and plus Saturday, Earth Day, April 22nd. No flyer is needed to ride all of our services for free, just board and go. Earth Day is an important reminder that fossil fuel powered transportation is the single biggest source of air pollution in California. In fact, in our region, it accounts for over 50% of the greenhouse gas emission, like this young gentleman just said, how important the gas emission, how bad we have right now. Air quality, climate change, and how we travel go hand in hand, and we know public transit is a greener choice for moving around our region. So on the Earth Day, help clean the air and try SACRT for free, please. Then to conclude my remarks, I will ask Sarah Kerber to provide an update on our strategic quarterly scorecard results, and then Ron Forrest to share our light rail service improvement plan, especially how to make sure the light rail will allow put the homes on some unnecessary situations.
Great. Good evening, Board. My name is Sarah Kerber. I'm the Senior Manager of Strategic Projects and Performance here at SACRT. We wanted to provide you with an update on our strategic plan quarterly scorecard results as part of our efforts to ensure operational excellence through a data-driven, results-oriented approach with transparency and accountability. This fiscal year, we began providing the board and the public quarterly with a one-page summary of our overall performance scorecard. This includes metrics on ridership, operating cost per vehicle revenue hours, bus and light rail on-time performance, fare evasion rates, and customer service. Overall, you can see that we performed well quarter over quarter with an overall score in quarter 2 of 94.25 points out of 100 points. What you are seeing here is a high-level summary, but there's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes and iterative discussions at the department level for milestones, KPIs, and tactics that we review with internal stakeholders every quarter. Here's a quick look at our overall results broken down by strategic pillar. These are calculated based upon various metrics that impact the agency across multiple divisions and are of strategic importance, impacting operational excellence, community value, employee engagement, and customer satisfaction. In this quarter, several common themes emerged in our internal conversations, including the impact of the measure not passing on funding key projects, the impact of supply chain issues, and the successful collaboration of our teams on low-floor vehicle station conversions and the overall light rail modernization project. We look forward to sharing with you our Q3 and Q4 results in future meetings. We are currently in the middle of preparing our new goals and tactics for the next fiscal year and look forward to presenting that to you in the future. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Chairperson Kennedy, members of the board, and the public. My name is Ron Forrest, and I am the Vice President of Light Rail Operations. It's certainly a pleasure to be before you tonight and to be providing you all with a brief presentation on certain elements of our light rail service improvement plan, and also to share the progress we've made over the last few years. I will also end my presentation with a follow-up on what we're doing to address you all's concerns that you expressed at the last board meeting about the horn sounds in the 7th and H area. Okay. In our agency's 5-year strategic plan, we refer to what is known as our 4 strategic pillars to guide us towards our long-term objectives. And as Sarah said, those 4 pillars are customer satisfaction, operational excellence, community value, and employee engagement. However, in the interest of time, I'm going to focus on what we're doing to achieve operational excellence because we believe that achieving that provides the collateral benefit of achieving the others. So how are we getting there? We've identified 4 core objectives to help us develop that roadmap. One is to develop tactical goals. Those are those activities that we agree we must engage in order to achieve our objectives. We've developed key performance indicators with measurable outcomes, and we use data analysis to drive our decision making. And finally, we want to future-proof our light rail system by ensuring that flexibility and scalability are factored into any future light rail system design, and that we position ourselves to incorporate existing and emerging modern technologies into our wayside and vehicle equipment. Unfortunately, due to a lack of funding, many of these key technology initiatives that will ensure a safer and more flexible light rail system have been placed on hold. As Henry said, compared to our peers, we only receive a 1/6 of a penny in sales tax, in local sales tax. This is approximately 5 to 6 times less than what our peer agencies receive on the West Coast. So the lack of that adequate funding also hampers our ability to compete for state and local federal funding because of the local matching fund. We collect nearly 30 performance indicators that fall under the broad umbrella of these 4 key performance indicators: safety, reliability, accessibility, and efficient use of resources. As our chart indicates, over the past almost 2.5 years, on average, we've completed in light rail approximately 99% of our scheduled trips. Our on-time performance has been just above 98% on average. And our mean distance between failure has also increased. Now, it's important to point this out because this means that our vehicles are operating more miles before encountering mechanical malfunctions that either keep them from starting their trip or from completing a trip that they've already started. Why is it important? It's because we're operating a legacy fleet that's almost 40 years old. And so the quality of work that our LRV maintenance team is doing is resulting in us being able to keep vehicles in service. The fleet is getting older, and we're expecting that we're going to have some significant challenges with parts obsolescence. and increased maintenance costs. The next slide shows some of our safety KPIs. We've seen significant progress in our collision reduction performance. One, we've seen a 43.6% decrease in collisions in the past 4 years. 80% reduction in squeeze-by collisions in our highest density corridor, mainly in the CBD, and those are when LRVs and vehicles make contact in those congested corridors. It's important to note that our data shows that there has been, though, a 5-fold increase in incidents where trespassers are placing objects in our trackway, and this will most likely continue until a reduction in the unhoused populations within proximity to our tracks. Finally, at the last board meeting, some of you raised some concerns about operators blowing horns, excessive horns in the 7th and H area. I first want to assure you that we are addressing that issue, and I'll give you more details on the specifics. But we also get complaints about horn use going through our grade crossings. We have approximately 60 grade crossings in our system. So I want to take a moment to make you all aware that there are regulatory requirements that dictate the use of audible alerts. Per regulatory requirements, operators must sound audible alerts under the following circumstances. When traveling through all grade crossings, whether providing grade crossing protection or not, when traveling through intersections also used by pedestrians in regular auto traffic, operators should be using a gong audible instead of horns, though, in these while going through these intersections, and I would expect that these are the most common audible alerts that you all hear, especially in the CBD.
Excuse me, I believe Mr. Cerna.
I think you just answered the question I was going to have, just wanted to make a distinction between when a train is leaving a station, entering an intersection. Rarely is a horn used, except to perhaps in an emergent situation alert cross traffic. It's usually the bell or the gong, I guess is what you call it.
The gong is mostly used. It's a lower decibel, and that's probably the most common occurrence.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and when approaching work crews on or near the trackway. And lastly, anytime there's an emergency in which the use of horn could prevent an accident. Actions we're taking to address your concerns about excessive horn use. We've already issued today a light rail notice, which is formal notification to our light rail employees that excessive and unauthorized horn use is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. Starting this week, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., we're going to assign field supervisors to the 7th and H area to conduct frequent monitoring for compliance. They'll report their findings back to their department managers. We'll review the results at our weekly light rail management meetings, and we'll address any personnel that are failing to comply. Okay. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for your patience and time, and I'll take questions if you guys have some.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Not a question, just wanted to thank you for hearing some of our concerns last time. And if those monitors need a place to monitor from, they're welcome to use my office.
I was going to say the same thing.
We have a good location picked out. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is that it, Henry? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. That takes us to item number 9, reports, ideas, and questions from directors.
Chair Kennedy, Jeffrey Tartagia had his hand up to comment on the
I apologize. Jeffrey?
manager's report.
Several back, it actually turns out to be, but I will just limit it to this one right here and now. I'm hoping you use the 7th Street location, that opposite sidewalk, to see what exactly is creating the problem that creates the horn issue. I believe you also have, I want to say Stockton Boulevard, but it may be also the I don't know what I want to call it, Folsom Boulevard. That intersection on the Gold Line is where sometimes there is horn use and sometimes there is not. I hope a clear procedure comes out of this, and I appreciate the review of things that happen, because there are certain intersections, i.e., I know that there have been a number of accidents, so where the blue line comes down and crosses over the 19th area street through there under the Sacramento Bridge, that is also an area where we won't call it excessive, but it would be nice if there's a procedure there because of the amount of accidents that have occurred of people being in the pathway of light rail. The other thing I could think of to draw to concern is the what you are doing for your procedure for when you have, i.e., the shall we say, light rail falling off of the tracks, being dislodged, beyond the factor of what you're doing for your, quote, patients. But I will note, please, is there for the disabled a, shall we say, holding area or way of more than just a fireman's hold to get them dislodged from the train vehicle? It didn't seem the last couple of times in Rancho Cordova that there was such a procedure. Would encourage that as you're reviewing under light rail procedures, that you have some formulated. I believe you are now using some checklists, and I got to see a light rail operator that one was just running the thing, and two was one that was actually dealing with the situation of having a train sitting on the Sac Valley or Sac B bridge, and how you were going to dislodge it and get it removed from that location, and what you're having to do to formulate the bus bridges and other things. I believe the bus bridges have worked well on the weekends, but I've never seen a published route for what exactly is going on with the bus bridge while you're doing this on the Gold Line. There's others, but I think that's enough things to ask our light rail operator individual, and would lovely appreciate if you can send me your contact information so stuff like this can indeed be, if it doesn't get up, I will speak to you about what's going on with light rail that really seems, from these squeaky wheels and the noises, to indeed what needs to happen for our new low floor vehicles. And with that, I will be quiet.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. Again, number 9, reports, ideas, and questions from directors, if any. Mr. Hume?
I do have one, and it's actually not on the agendized item. The San Joaquin JPA most contentious thing was a decommissioning of a station down in Pittsburgh. But been approached by a group called Reignite Hope that does a mobile vocational training program to teach welding to homeless individuals, to recently paroled individuals, and to other marginalized communities. They need a place to set up their trailer. They have all their funding. They have everything ready to go. They want to start enrolling people in the beginning of May 3rd, May 7th, something like, or May 10th, something like that. One of the ideas I had was, given that we were looking at using the back parking lots at either the Cosumnes River Station, the Franklin Station, or the whichever station down there, or the Watt I-80 station, if we could maybe hold, it's all the state of flux, but because it's moving so quickly, I'm just looking if I can get kind of consensus to work with RT staff to pursue that as a possibility.
We'd love to chat.
That's all I can ask for.
I actually like the synergy of that, since Siemens is always looking for welders to build our
There you go.
cars.
There you go. And they want it to be close to transit, obviously, to open up the opportunity for people to get there.
Any else? Nope. All right, thank you very much. With that, we're going to go into closed session, and because of our air conditioning situation, I believe we're staying here.
Yeah, we're going to stay here.
Okay, so everybody else, you have a good evening.
Chair Kennedy, do you want me to read the item?
Yes, please.
Okay. 13.1, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Jennifer Lackey versus SAC RT. And I don't see any.